Catwalk. Ready to wear. Fashion.
Fashion has evolved so much that designers have the creative license to turn anything into a masterpiece.
It started with couture and now the runway is dazzled with accessories and swimwear, with photography being a big part of it. I am Rachel Williams.
And I'm Doris Asumeni, and this is Fashion Coast.
Our next guest in the studio, well, our first guest in the studio, is an amazingly talented young lady who just so happens to be a photographer. We welcome Charlene. Before I say, I just love the fact that you're a female working in a very male-dominated industry. Yes. Do you find that quite difficult, or is it just easy for you?
Not really. It's not really a factor. I don't really pay attention to it. It would be nice for there to be other females to kind of chit-chat with and stuff like that, but it's fine. The guys are fine. I
think it's nice as a model being able to relate to a photographer who's a female because they understand the movements of the body, etc. Whereas if it's a male, you don't want to. You're a bit. It's a bit shy. I mean, you're professional, but it does tend to get a little bit, you know. That's why. Do you prefer to do fashion or do you do commercial?
Personally, I prefer fashion. It's a lot more creative. Most of the designers are happy for you to kind of go crazy with ideas, you know, come up with different concepts for their, be it, you know, designs or whatever. And it's much more challenging than, for example, commercial work.
What's the most challenging thing that you've come across in the industry?
Trying to be original. So there's a lot of photographers out there, both in Ghana and abroad. So trying to always have your USP, what makes, you know, why should a client choose you over another photographer? Be it your customer services or just your work or, you know, how you relate to other people, you know, that's what I find tricky.
But is it quite a competitive field, would you say then? Or is it because you do different types? So many people do fashion, then you've got commercials, ad campaigns, etc. Would it be competitive within the little segments, or is it overall?
It's a little bit different. Working in London is a lot more competitive because people tend to specialize. So if I do fashion, then I just do fashion and I focus on fashion. Whereas in Ghana, working in Ghana, everybody tends to do a little bit of everything. So you'll have food photographers doing fashion shots, you know, doing weddings, you know, simultaneously. So I would say working in Ghana is less competitive.
Okay, and you were born and bred in London, or were you born?
Yes, so I was born in London. I did come and go to school in Ghana for a while. And then we moved back to London. So I went to uni in London, studied my degree in animation and photography. So I've actually studied my profession, if that makes sense. And then I just decided to come back home.
It's quite, as I've seen with many of the stylists on their show, on this show, it's difficult because some of them they study and some of them learn on the job. Which one would you say is easier to do if you're a budding photographer?
I would say study it. Because a lot of people think, oh, you just pick up a camera or you buy a few lenses and, you know, you're a photographer. Not really. There's a lot that goes on, you know, behind the scenes or, you know, post-production or actually just learning what it takes to take a photograph, to take a good photograph. People will take pictures, you know, maybe it's overexposed, it's underexposed. They don't know why. You know, there are factors involved. You know, you have to know what your aperture is. You have to know what your shutter speed is. These are all factors that, you know, you combine to take a good photo. So I would say, if you can, study it. You don't have to go to school. You could pick up books. You could watch tutorials. Exactly. So it's not like, you know, you have to go to uni and do a degree, but you should, you know,
have some degree of knowledge within it.
And respect it as a profession. Don't just say, oh, it's easy. You know, it's not that easy. you have to put work in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I see you've brought your camera along with you today.
Yeah.
Tell me about it. What is this? What are the buttons? Just give us a bit of an explanation.
This is my main camera body that I use, and I've brought along 2 different lenses just to give you an idea of what each one does. So on my body is a 50mm. So it's what we call a fast lens because it has a really small aperture. So that means basically it can open up quite wide to let a lot of light in. So it's good for situations where there's not enough light, or it's, you know, you're in a relatively dark place, and it's good for that. This is a prime lens, so you can't zoom in and out. So like most people on their cameras, you know, they can zoom in. No, so if you want to get closer to an object, you physically have to move to the object.
So that just takes it as it is.
As it is, it's
the same.
Fixed.
There's no the distance is the same. Okay.
Exactly. This is a zoom lens, so it's 70 to 200. So that's how far or how close you can go to your subject. So you can sit here.
Meters or something.
Yes.
Okay.
So you could sit here and I could sort of zoom right into your eyes and, you know, like that, exactly. Or I could zoom out and then it would be like a whole portrait shot, maybe from the top of your head to like your waist, yeah. Okay. So different lenses for different jobs. If, for example, I was doing a fashion shoot, I would shoot on my 50. If I was doing like a wedding where I had to be active, running around, I would shoot on my 70 to 200.
Okay, so it's a bit more difficult than we thought it would have been. And that's it. Tell me quickly about these lights that we have here as well.
Cool, so these are some studio lights that I have that for when I'm in the studio doing stills or like fashion. You can take them on location as well. So this one's a beauty dish. I tend to use that when I'm doing, you know, beauty shots for maybe makeup artists.
I've seen this one before. This gives a soft light. Yes. Okay, yeah, because when I do beauty, they normally use that one. Yeah. And then if they use something like this, is a harsher light. Am I correct? Okay. Perfect. Oh, I know a little bit, a very, very small amount. Yeah. But would you have many lights in a shoot, or would it just be the one that you would use?
It depends on the photographer. Okay. Personally, I like to shoot with no light. I'm a natural light type of a photographer. Yeah. So if I do stuff on location, I'll probably have maybe some reflectors, but not have lights. Working in the studio, however, yes, I do use lights, but I'll always start off with one. And then if I feel like I need more, then I would add. Yeah, I don't start off with like a whole set, you know, with 10 lights.
Gradually add
it in, yeah.
Okay, great. And quickly tell us, where can we see your work?
My work's on my website. Okay. Different types of work I display differently. For example, you won't find any of my wedding images on my website because for me, I feel weddings are personal, so they go to the client. Yeah. If the client wishes to share, that's fine. Most of the work on my website is my fashion stuff, as well as some newborn shots that I do as well. Yeah, so on my website, which is www.casari.co.uk.
CSRE.co.uk.
No, C Asari. So my last name's Asari.
Asari. Yes. Okay. .co.uk. Okay, cool. Well, thank you very much for coming in.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, and I hope to see more of your work very, very soon.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye. After the break, guys, Doris will be back showing us the latest collection from Aya Morrison, and hold on to your horses because it's swimwear.
I didn't go to school for it. I just had the passion for that, you know, putting little things together. And so when I was in college, I started doing that. I'd go to vintage stores in New York. I was in college in New York. There are lots of vintage stores around my school. So I'd go there, pick up vintage buttons, vintage placemats, whatever, just doing stuff for myself. And my friends liked it.
Fashion.